do these shapes, our goal is to know what's key facts about them so I know what to construct. Don't worry, we'll go over homework questions after this. In case you think I'm skipping them, we'll go over and after that. But first I want to talk about what's the major information I need to know about a parallelogram, a rhombus, and a rectangle. Let's go ahead and start with parallelogram. And I have 5 things in particular I'm thinking that can help me construct. What's maybe the first thing that's important? Yeah? Opposite sides are parallel. And that's important for construction because we know how to construct parallel lines. Either that's using corresponding angles, dropping 2 perpendiculars, or using alternate interior angles. We can create parallel lines using constructions. What else is important about parallelograms? Yeah, Mike. Opposite sides are congruent. So in fact, looking down here, they give us some sides. If they give me 2 sides, they actually gave me all 4 sides. What else do I know? Yeah.
Opposite angles.
Opposite angles are congruent. Bless you. Well, that's important because, like I said, down here they give us 2 sides, which is all 4 sides. And they actually gave us 2 angles. If they gave me 1 angle, they gave me the opposite angle. All right. Oof. What else is important about parallelograms? Anyone new have one, or is Michael going to steal another one? All right, Michael. Diagonals bisect each other.
Do you spell diagonals with an A or an O in this case?
Diagonals.
Okay.
All right, diagonals bisect each other. That can help because we can bisect things. We can find the halfway point. We can find midpoints by dropping a perpendicular bisector. Probably the least needed for constructions, though, but could be useful. There is a 5th thing. What is the 5th thing? Michael knows his parallelograms.
That's too much.
Yeah. What do we got?
Could it be like opposite angles equal 180?
Not opposite angles, but
like same, like H and E would equal 180.
same side angles,
Yes.
or consecutive angles, however you want to put it. I'm going to put it same side because the same side interior. Same side angles are supplementary or add to 180. Well, that's important because, once again, if you look down below, they gave me 2 sides. They gave me an angle. That means they gave me 4 sides and all 4 angles. Because I could just extend this line, and I would then have the supplementary angle to it as well. We're not going to be doing that, but just so you know, they give you all the information you need right here if you just knew all of that information. All right, that's the most important things about a parallelogram for constructions. Let us move on to a rhombus. Yeah. All sides are congruent.
Wait, are the opposite sides parallel in a rhombus or no?
Yes. So remember, a rhombus is, well, maybe I'll put this down to number 2, just so we remember. A rhombus is a parallelogram. So that means everything that's over here also goes to that parallelogram. So we actually have opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent, diagonals bisect each other, same side angles are supplementary, and now we have all sides are congruent. That means if I give you a rhombus and I give you 1 side, I gave you all 4 of those sides. What else do we know about a rhombus? Other Michael.
The angles, like opposite angles are equal.
Opposite angles are congruent, and that's because it's a parallelogram. So I'm not going to list that again, but I 100% agree. Yeah. Oh, so diagonals. Yep. Oop, that's not. Diagonals intersect at a perpendicular line, so diagonals are perpendicular. Remember that's our sign for perpendicular. So now keep that in mind, because I guarantee on the homework, I'm going to ask you to do a rhombus, and you're actually going to do your insides first. You're actually do your perpendicular line, because I might say that, because if I say the two diagonals equal a certain length, you can actually draw a rhombus from that, because you can draw your perpendicular line, get your one, get your other one, and you could then have a rhombus. There's one more important part for a rhombus. What is that fourth important part of a rhombus? Andrew?
Like the one where if the angles they bisect each
Yeah,
other?
yeah. The diagonals bisect two angles,
Okay.
basically, yep. So diagonals bisect the angles. And I'm going to put two angles. So if I was to draw a diagonal up here, so if I drew diagonals up here, we have that is congruent to that, is congruent to that, is congruent to that. This is congruent to this, is congruent to this, is congruent to this. It's also a 90-degree angle. This is also a midpoint of both lines, but that comes from the parallelogram portion of it. All right, those are important things of a rhombus for our construction purposes. Let's move on to rectangle. Rectangle, first of all, it is a parallelogram. So everything 1 through 5 is also going to apply to that. Andrew? Rhea?
Diagonals are equal.
Diagonals are congruent, yep. Diagonals are both congruent. What else do we know about a rectangle? Divi?
All angles have to be 90 degrees.
All angles are 90 degrees. So quite possibly if I'm making a rectangle, I'm probably dropping some perpendiculars so I can create my 90-degree angles. All right, those are our three major things that I have for rectangle. We're going to put all this together in order to make constructions. Now, everyone just put your compasses, everything down. Because for some reason, no one ever listens to me, and this is the biggest mistake people make. So everyone look at the board right now. When I ask you to construct a parallelogram last, what I want you to do is everyone should be looking at the board. You are going to, off to the side, sketch a parallelogram last. Once you have that sketched, you should do this on every single one of them because you don't know if I'm giving you diagonals, sides, or what these have in common until you draw this down. And then once I have it drawn out, I'd probably put key information. I'd probably put like a little tick mark. Tick mark, know that everything's parallel. Maybe I'd put some congruent angles. I'm going to put some symbols on it, but at the very least, on every one of these problems, you should have a little sketch what your end result should generally look like. We know a parallelogram can go in alternate directions, but that's generally our idea of our parallelogram. So on each of these on your homework, I want you to draw that little sketch off to the side. It's going to help you immensely. It's going to help you. It's going to help me help you. So when you say, what is this? Let's say I give you LS, and there'll be times where I give you LS. You will know it's a diagonal and not a side because of this little sketch. Well, they give me LA. Well, LA is a base. AS is a side. Well, just from this drawing, LA is congruent to TS. So they gave me the bottom and the top. AS is that side, and it's also that side because they're congruent to each other. Let's go ahead and construct this. So to construct this, I'm going to first make that LA. So let's make that LA by drawing a straight line. Getting the distance from L to A. Marking that down and saying, hey, guess what? Now I have LA. What's most likely my next step? Given the information I have, what's probably my next step? Rhea?
Constructing angle L.
Probably construct angle L. There's nothing stopping me, right? They gave me angle L. Let's go ahead and construct angle L by copying and pasting angle L. Remember, when you copy and paste, you should have a mark on L. And we're going to paste that arc where I'm going to paste it. So we open our compass, mark it, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to figure out how wide is that angle open. And I'm going to paste that down here. And I can now draw that line. Do I know the distance from L to T? In other words, do I know that segment, the distance LT? Do I know that distance?
Yep.
So you're saying yes. I don't see it up here. How do I know that distance? I only have LA and AS.
So opposite sides are congruent,
Mhm.
so that AS would be congruent to LT.
Oh, okay, so AS would be congruent to LT. Okay, so that means I know that length, so I'm just going to use that AS. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Oh, that should be a T, actually. Am I allowed to just guess now what this looks like? No. What would be something I can do to construct it? Yeah.
You can figure out angle T by doing the 180 degrees.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, for L.
I'm not going to do that, but I 100% agree. So, no. That's great. That's great to think about. That would work. The only reason why I'm not going to do it that method is because I want to show you on the answer key how you can read how I did this. But what Emma said is, hey, I now have this supplementary angle that I could paste up here, which would 100% work. What I'm going to do instead, and Emma, you don't have to erase yours or anything. Do that. You'll come up with the same thing I did. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use corresponding angles to make my parallel lines. So there's probably 4 or 5 ways to do this. I'm just picking one method. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put corresponding angles. So I'm going to take that corresponding angle there and I'm going to paste it right here. We also could have taken that and pasted it up here. What Emma did is she just took the supplementary and pasted it right here. All those methods would work. And there's more out there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paste this supplementary angle, which means I need to have an arc that I'm going to then paste. I know on the notes I said you don't have to put those 2 X's, but I highly suggest you do that so you know where you're pasting your angle. It just makes your life a little easier. Then I'll get the measure of that, paste it here. I would now join those. And I actually know the length of AS, so I'm going to copy and paste that length. And I got myself a parallelogram. Last. I got the very last parallelogram. So no one else should have it. Questions on any one of those steps? All right, can we real quick, once again, look up at the board? Unless you're still working on the problem. If you're working ahead, just put it down and just look at the board. I want to show you how my answer guide is structured. My answer guide is structured so I can tell you how to work your way through the problem. A lot of these will be difficult. Like I said, you're going to start at weird places like the rhombus one. I'm telling you right now that you might have to draw your perpendicular lines first. So what I try to do is I'm going to try to tell you, I start with this line, construct angle L. I constructed the corresponding angle. Then I constructed AS. I didn't really talk about LT because this is the one we're doing in class. And then I made those apart. And you'll notice those on every single one of these. So in fact, if you look at number 2, we're supposed to construct rhombus bake. Given that B is this angle, and BK, which is a diagonal, which you only would have known if you drew your little shape up here. Well, that means since this diagonal bisects this angle, I would draw a line here, So it says construct angle B, which is right here. It then says bisect B, which we can see I did right here. I drew that line. Then I said mark K. Well, we knew the distance from B to K was that length, so I marked it. Then I copied the bisected angles from B onto K. So basically what I did is I copied this angle, pasted it up here, but we had to do it by part, and that gave me the rest of it. So I tried my best to give you some kind of direction on the answer guide, so you guys can use the answer guide to help guide you on doing things correctly. Okay? That leads me to two important facts that we all need to see. First fact, that the homework that was last night, I had a mistake on it. I had a mistake on the very last one. It's just I had letters switched around. In case you use the answer key to look at yours. On the very last one, I did do the directions again, but I want to notice that I said E to F was length Y. Well, that was supposed to be D to E. So these letters should have really been flipped. All right. Your drawing should have ended up closer to your D than your E. I mislabeled the Y here. I accidentally made E to F, but D to F would have been that length. So these two letters should have flipped. The second thing I want everyone to see, because I collected some homeworks and I'm going to collect yours today. But the biggest mistake I saw from last night's homework is people completely forgot how to bisect a line. Completely forgot. And they didn't look it up, and so they kind of just suffered with it. So let me get a sheet out. I'm particularly going to look at perpendicular bisectors right here. So everyone look at your perpendicular bisectors on your homework and make sure you did this correct. Everyone put your compass down, whatever you're doing, I want you to look up here and I want you to compare it to yours. When I ask for a perpendicular bisector, this is what I saw on a ton of people's homeworks. I saw people having an X and another one, and then somehow they drew a straight line coming down. Do I have 2 points here?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
What's wrong?
I was gonna say
What should I do?
draw like the curves.
I should draw the
You
curves.
have 2 points, so you wanna cut past the midpoint and then.
For your perpendicular bisectors, so as I grade yours and as I grade your test, I'm making sure that you have 2 marks to have a perpendicular bisector. In fact, I have to extend this one just a little bit further. If yours does not, so now I could draw that straight line through this. If you look at yours right now and you do not have that X and that X, you would lose points on the test. Divvy.
You don't need to have the half letters.
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just circling the most important, the 2 X's. But you have to have both of those X's. Yeah.
And then if it was a median, you'd extend.
If it was a median, I would just,
The vertex.
yep, I would just extend there to there, and that would be my median. Yep. So that handles 2 of them. So if you don't know that you need these 2 X's there, then you kind of have 2 problems wrong, because you'd have this one wrong and you'd have your medians one wrong. Okay? Otherwise, what other questions do we have from our homework? If you don't have any questions, you can continue on the homework that you're working on right now. Ria.
Remember I tried it like 4 times and I get it.
For number 6. Okay, so it says construct triangle ABC with AB equaling AC equals Z, and D is an altitude from A and has length Y. So an altitude creates a 90-degree angle, correct? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a 90-degree angle, because that seems as good a place to start as any. To create a 90-degree angle, I'm just going to put a point where I want to actually have that 90-degree angle go through. Make a mark to the left and right of it. And now I'm going to drop a perpendicular. In this case, I do have a point, so I don't have to go all the way around. I'm going to go all the way around just so we can see it all. Okay, so now I have a 90-degree angle, right? And this is my altitude. This goes from some vertex to 90 degrees on the opposite side. Well, it says that this altitude from A has length y. So A is somewhere up here. And it's exactly y units away. So we're going to go ahead and get y locked into our compass. And that's going to be my point A. Well, they give me the length from A to B and A to C, don't they?
Yeah.
So we just get that locked into our compass. So from A to B, that's length Z. So we're just going to see where length Z intersects over here. We're going to see where Z intersects over here. Put our points. And we now have our triangle.
Oh,
Okay? So that one we start with our altitude. Other questions? Yeah.
number 7.
Yeah. Rhea, do you think, do you need this still up there, or are you good from there?
No, I did it.
Okay. All right, number 7. So real quick, let's look at my kind of, so we can look at how we're going to do this tonight, because we're going to have a bunch we're going to get stuck on, I bet. So if you look at mine, I said construct DE. So we're going to construct DE. We're going to drop a perpendicular to find the midpoint. So that's how I'm going to think about my median, is a midpoint. Then we're going to mark our median lengths and our length of DF. So we are first going to draw length. So it says DE equals Z, DF equals Y, and the median DE equals whatever. All right, so the first thing we're going to start off with, so we're making triangle DEF. We got a median going to DE. So I'm going to start by constructing DE. And DE is length Z. And then I have to find the midpoint to know where the median is going to intersect it. So that means we're dropping a perpendicular. Which means, since I don't already have a line, I'm going to make my full quarter circles. And then I'm going to draw a line through it. But the line's not the important part. The important part is that this is a midpoint. So now we know that somewhere out here in one of these directions is our vertex that is coming off of. But it's going right here. Well, they tell us that this has length x. So if our median has length x, that means somewhere this distance is where our median is. So our vertex is somewhere, I guess I could go all the way around, but I know it's somewhere over here. I'm just getting that distance locked in here. Then they say the distance from D to F, because like we said, we were missing F. The distance from D to F is Y. So we get that into our compass. And I start at D. And I go ahead and see what distance that is. Well, where your median and that intersect is your vertex F. And then we just draw our lines to complete our triangle. So once again, we're given two sides, basically. We're two distances. I was given my median distance, and I was given this distance. Put them in and see where they intersect, and that's where that point is going to be. Yeah?
How did you get that, could you repeat, your last 2 steps?
My last 3 steps, my last one was I knew the median had length x. So I got x locked into my compass. And then I started from the midpoint, because that's where our median is. And I just said, okay, that distance is this far away from that point. Okay, you got that step?
Yeah.
And then the last step is, well, it says from D to F is Y. So you get Y locked into your compass. And then you mark that distance from D, because that would be your distance from D to F. So wherever two distances intersect, that's where your F is going to be. All right, yeah, Andrew.
Oh, I have a question on, what is it? 5C, the medians.
5C. Oh, okay. Which one's 5? 5C, the medians. Okay.
Yeah, that one. I tried it, but then I wasn't sure. I made the perpendicular bisector,
Mm-hmm.
but then I wasn't sure what to do, like how to get the exact like, the median.
Well, once you do your perpendicular bisector, so remember your perpendicular bisector has to go past halfway each point, right?
Yeah.
Come to that side, make your half circle, make your half circle. So these are my half circles, or my quarter circles. And I drew a line, but the line isn't important. It's just that creates a midpoint. Then all we have to do is connect that midpoint to the vertex on the other side.
Oh, okay.
And we now have a median. That's the definition of median. Median goes from vertex to the midpoint on the other side.
Okay.
You have to know all of these definitions, guys. I put them on there for you guys to not have to go through your notes, but your definitions are right here. You have to know them. Other questions from the homework? Yeah.
Can we go over 6, like how to finish that one?
Did we not finish 6? Which one was 6? Oh, we were finished. I just have to connect.
How did you get the bottom 2 points?
Because they told me the distance from A to B and A to C, or Z. So we have to get Z locked into our compass and then go, okay, this side has that length. And I look where it intersects that line. And then I keep that length in here, and that'll give me my other side. And that'll give me my 3 points. Yeah.
Question on this one.
Okay. All right, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to put your names on this homework, and we're actually going to turn these in.
All of it?